Okay, class, today we're going to focus on Wordly Wise 7. So, having your Wordly Wise books out, taking notes on this would be very useful. So, starting with the words here again, remembering the site that I'm on. If you want to use it, you can. I also have another site to show you today when I'm done with this list that might help you with reviewing aspects. And there's also, I don't know if you've seen this down here, there's also a games section. So if you want to do review and play games and do some aspects there, that is helpful as well. Okay, so to get started, archipelago. Archipelago. Again, remember you can listen to the pronunciations and stuff down here if you're on the website and want to hear other pronunciations again and stuff, you can. So an archipelago has two definitions. It's a large group of islands. So we're talking like the Florida Keys. There are so many islands. The Bahamas count, the Philippines count, but it's a large group. Hawaii would count as an archipelago, or a body of water containing a large number of islands. Um, like a Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, um, wouldn't necessarily count. You want something more closed in and more contained. So, like here, it says the Aegean archipelago. So there's the Aegean Sea, which is rather small in it, and the idea of number of islands compared to body of water is what you're looking for. Whereas the Pacific and the Atlantic are so large, they don't have the number of islands in it that helps it. So one that would work would be like the Caribbean Sea, because the Caribbean Seas, because or Caribbean Ocean, because everything there is island. Okay, next one. Sorry about that. Now you know what the pronunciation sounds like. I thought I had that muted. Okay, careen is a verb. Again, has two definitions. To rush headlong, often with a swerving or lurching motion. So here it gives the idea of roller coasters, car accidents. This fits in with this idea of that swerving and that lurching. Lurching means is kind of like a motion where you pull back and you go and you move, and it's kind of, it's not smooth. Sometimes it's abrupt. Um, and this last one is to cause to lean or tip to one side, as a ship, as in the ship careens. So like a sailboat, when it's moving through the water, it actually has that motion as it's going, how it slips and spins to the side. It's careening through the waves. Okay, cavalier, showing an offhand or carefree disregard, arrogant. Someone who's cavalier, it's their attitude. It's the fact that they're arrogant, they're stuck up, they're snobbish, and they just carefree, don't really care about anyone else. So it's that attitude that they have about it. So, and it is adjective, so it does need to be used with another noun. So, looking at this one, the Cavalier Attitude. This is how it's used the most. Contiguous, adjective, sharing a boundary or being very close or in contact or adjacent. I like to think of this, the easiest way to think of this is states. California is contiguous to Oregon, Nevada, and Arizona, so it shares a border with those three states. Pilibos is contiguous to a parking lot and an apartment building, so it shares a border with those. Glendale is contiguous to Burbank and Los Angeles, so it shares that boundary or shares that border. So they're very close in contact aspects. Correlate, or correlation, so you get the noun and the noun version and the verb version, is to connect related things or to bring things into proper relation with one another. So the idea here is if you're taking lists of things, you start to put them into categories. So you're correlating them, you're connecting them to related things. If you have APUS history and you have the DBQ, it gives you a list of documents and you have to put them in categories and you have to correlate them. When we recycle, you have to put them paper, you have to put them plastic, you have to um, do cans separately, so you're correlating into different categories. Okay, a correlation is the noun form, the idea of the connection between two aspects. So here it's the possible correlation between piano playing and mathematical achievement merits further study. So that connection between the two aspects is important. Um, okay, the next one, etymology, is the history of a word. So where the word comes from, if it's Spanish, if it's French, if it's Latin, but it's the origins of that word. The second definition is the science that studies such histories. So the history of language, the history of cultures, aspects. So it's that the beginning. So when we start looking at ancient cultures, and you're looking at the Romans and the ancient civilizations aspect, it's very much that study and that history of. Frenetic. This is an adjective, wildly excited and frantic. So this is easily someone who's a little bit crazy and out there, and they're running around really excited because they just won something, or they got something, or they got a lot of money, or they won the lotto, or something like that. So they're very excited and frantic about things. When the Star Wars tickets went on sale on Monday night, everyone was very frantic and very excited about it. And the internet broke because there were so many people trying to buy tickets. That's frenetic. Okay, it's that frantic and excitedness aspect to it. Okay, kinetic. This is relating to motion. This definitely has to do more with this idea of science. So you have kinetic motion, you have kinetic energy, but it's that idea of how it moves. So when you're looking at the kinetic energy, you're looking at, is it being slow, is it being fast? You're looking at that relation to the motion itself. Okay, presage or presage. It's not presage, it's presage. Okay, it's a verb to foretell, to warn, or indicate in advance. So this kind of a foreshadowing. Here we have one that we've seen a lot lately, dark clouds presage rain. The idea is they forecast or they warn about rain. In literature, we call it foreshadowing. In nature, here we call it predicting or foretelling or indicating. So those are all synonyms that will help you with the idea of presage. Pulverize has two verb definitions here: to crush or grind into dust or powder. So that idea of, if you take a mortar and pestle, so if you've ever seen these, it's a bowl, a stone bowl. You put the nuts or the avocados or something in there, and you're grinding it, you're pulverizing it, you're making it into powder, or you're making it into guacamole. So that idea that you're taking something and you're grinding it into dust, you're making it a powder so that you can use it later for something else. That's the first aspect. The next aspect is to demolish. So the example they give here is the hurricane pulverizing things. We also have earthquakes that pulverize things when a freeway falls or a building falls. But that idea of it causing some sort of destruction aspect to it. Recondite is an adjective. It means difficult to understand, or something that is abstruse. Think of this as this idea of, it's a subject or an era or a music or a time period that is difficult for you. So calculus right now for some of you is abstruse. It's recondite. It's difficult to understand. Next year when you take it, it won't be as recondite. Okay, for some of you, English can be recondite, difficult to understand, and abstruse. So it doesn't have to just be a subject, as in a class subject, but it can be a certain era. So this one here, it's talking about the law of primogeniture during the Plantagenet age. Um, it's something that this person, and isn't this Ms. Gonzalez is an expert on it, but the other people around her are difficult and having difficulty with it. So it doesn't always have to be a class subject, but it is the easiest way to correlate it. Okay, repulse. is a verb form. We have three definitions here: to repel or to drive back. So you're pushing it away. Okay, so you're driving it back, you're repulsing it. Okay, the next one is to reject in a cool or distant manner. So you're kind of like just playing it off a little bit. You're refusing, but you're a little curt about it. You're a little distant. Like someone asks you out and you say, no, not really. You're not my type. So you're a little distant. You like, just put it off or ignore its aspect to it. Um, Number three is to disgust. So you're repulsed because of a smell or a look of something. So it's unsavory, it's disgusting, it's gross, so it's repulsing you. You can't be near it because it's causing you problems. Seismic is an adjective, caused or having to do with earthquakes. Seismic is like how we measure the earthquakes, where we come up with like the 6.2, the 7.2. It's the seismic changes, the seismic activity. And the second one is having powerful or widespread effects. So something that has a seismic proportions or a wide amount of things that it's doing and dealing with is like political changes, new laws. They have to deal with lots of aspects. The next one, undulate, has a verb and a noun form. The verb form is to form or move in waves and to have a wave-like appearance or motion. So thinking of this as water, it moves in waves. So the sea undulates, the water, the lake, the river, that motion. Um, Something also when it's blowing in the wind, you get that motion back and forth, that wave-like aspect to it. An undulation in the noun form, it just is the idea that it still means the idea of the moving and the motion, but just if you change the ending, you can use it in the noun form that you see here within the sentence. Okay, and the last word, upheaval, is this idea of a noun or a radical or violent change, or a forceful lifting or warping from beneath. So the violent change is the idea of like a civil rights movement, a women's rights movement. So it's definitely causing radical changes. Sometimes often violent, bloody battles can happen within there. We had people who were assassinated because of it. So it definitely is a radical and violent change in society. The second definition of forceful lifting or warping is the idea of like when the land moves or when it gets moved up. So like during earthquakes, when you start to see the land and the cracks and the movement within it, it's being upheavaled. Okay. Now, looking at the other website I want to show you is a website called Quizlet. It actually here lists also the words, some definitions. It gives you pronunciations again that have them. It also gives you scores, as in if you go in and try some of the different races and some of the different note cards and stuff. It keeps track of that. There's a speller, there's a test, you can play a scatter game, you can play a space race game. There are flashcards that you can use. So it gives you different aspects that you can learn how to work with it. It is a free website. I'm not saying you have to use it, but I'm just saying it's something that might help you to learn these and work with these words a lot better. I will see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Remember that Wordly Wise A and B, as well as this video, are due for part of your homework on Monday. See you in class on Monday.